Well, hello there, beautiful soul, and welcome back to Chat and Channel Session. In today's session, as you can see, we're going to be discussing one of my favorite things, spirit animal medicine, and how to know if a spirit animal guide or animal angel, as I sometimes say, is reaching out to you and how you can better understand their messages and work with them. But before we jump into all of that, let me welcome back those of you who are returning. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you. And to those of you who are new, welcome, welcome. My name is Danielle, hashtag damsel at D's Enlightened Edits of damseldesigns.com, your energy editor working to connect you with spirit and all the dots of the divine design. I am a lifelong spiritual and psychic medium, quantum Sikhem and shamanic energy healer, metaphysical teacher, energy artist, life and consciousness coach, and so much more. And this is Chat and Channel Session, where my guides, and in some cases some of you, present me with a topic and we do a stream of consciousness channeling on it to better help you in your life and spiritual advancement. If you would like to participate in the chat portion of Chat and Channel Session, feel free to leave a comment, question, or review. Or you can also participate my favorite way, which is by getting out a journal or the notes app on your phone or favorite device and doing some stream of consciousness writing along with me as I channel so that you can tap in to higher intuitive guidance and get insights that are specific to you based on the channeling that we are discussing today. Speaking of that channeling, let's hop right back into it and get started with a definition of sorts. What is a spirit animal? If you're here, you probably know, but just in case you're new to all of this, my personal definition of a spirit animal would be the higher consciousness of animal energies that step forward in our lives to guide us along our life journey, our life lessons, and our path. Now, spirit animals can present as guides in which you can have an innumerable amount, or they can also present as totems. Now, personally, as an energy reader of people all around the world, I work with people and their loved ones and higher selves in spirit, as well as their spirit guide teams. And we do have teams. Everyone, in my opinion and experience thus far, has a team that could be made up of spirit guides in general, angelic creatures, or spirit animal guides as well. Most people have a mix or a grouping, as well as ancestors and loved ones in spirit that tend to pop in and out to love on us and guide us. But a totem animal is a specific type of guide that signs up to be with us for our entire life or the majority of our life. Think of totem poles, right? The tribes and the indigenous communities that erected totem poles would often have animals represented that were constants in their culture and in their community. So for us, it's sort of the same thing. Totem animals mean that it's an animal guide that signs up for the long haul with you and becomes so much a part of who you are based on the life lessons that you've signed up for this go around, based on any karmas that you may be having and clearing up, and based on the mission that you sign up to accomplish. In my experience and work as an Akashic Records reader and healer, most of us do plan out a rough mapping of our lives before we are born and before we are incarnated with our higher self and our higher power. Now, because of free will, we can deviate from this somewhat, and we always have choice, of course, but there are certain things that we take on as a sort of checklist when we incarnate that we wish to do, that we wish to accomplish, certain people and souls that we wish to interact with again, certain lessons that we want to learn or master. And so spirit guides step in to help us with this and sort of keep us on track. The same sort of way that astrology and a natal chart can be a map or a guide for us as we journey through life, spirit guides are there in the higher realms and frequencies of consciousness to sort of give us clues along the way. Some say breadcrumbing, but also to be there to answer our questions and guide us and make us feel safe and confident and comfortable, especially once we awaken to the point that we believe in them again. Then we can really have a cooperative and co-creative relationship where we can put questions to them and receive their answers and receive their messages. So we have this in the form of generalized spirit guides and higher forms of consciousness, our own higher self, of course, angelics and guardian angels, if you believe in that. And spirit animals are one that tend to speak to many of us, especially those of us on the spiritual path and those who feel connected to nature and to the earth. Spirit animals can be immensely helpful, especially for people that don't yet feel confident or comfortable in an earth life or a 3D density based life. These can be starseeds, these can be people on the spectrum, or newer souls or old souls that don't really feel comfortable in the karmic wheel cycle of life anymore. And so when it's hard to ground and when it's hard to connect and see and remember the beauty of the earth and of life here on earth, or of life in general, because we're so focused perhaps as empaths on the hardship of life or on the lessons or the difficulties of life, I have really found that spirit animals can be so helpful in connecting with life again and with the earth again, because animals in general, not spirit animals, but animals as we see them out in our world, are more of a 2D energy in terms of consciousness. Now, of course, spirit animals and totem animals, as we were talking about, are higher than this because they are the exalted form of consciousness with the qualities and connections of those animals. So when we connect to spirit animals, we can subsequently connect with the animal kingdom or vice versa. But in doing so with spirit and totem animals, we're doing so in a higher form of consciousness, yet still in a way that is simplified and connective and grounded, like the 2D form of conscious animals that we have here on our planet. Connecting with animals in general, whether it's the living 2D consciousness form or the spirit or totem animal variety, can help us feel comfortable in our own bodies, because we are also animals. We are human and we believe that we are of the higher consciousness, but we are also part of animals while we are a living incarnated being. And if we have too much going on in our thought streams, or if we've been weighed down by trauma, then it can feel difficult to connect with this, to connect with our earth, to connect with our bodies, and to connect with the natural biorhythms of nature that our brains and nervous systems are a part of. So trauma healing can be especially conducive to working with spirit animals, in my opinion, as well as to anyone who is growing their connection with their body, with nature, with the animal kingdom, or with life and consciousness and spiritual connection in general, because spirit animals tend to speak a more simplified language. So if you are getting to know or getting to advance your way of connecting with the language of the universe, spirit animals are always a great place to start or to grow your connections, because the language and the frequency that they tend to speak and come in with connections on is not quite as difficult to read as connecting with spirit or higher consciousness in other forms. They tend to send signs and symbols that are more easily decipherable. They tend to work really, really well with us in showing up in our dreams and signs of other forms, which we will get into in a little bit. And so really anyone of any faith and any consciousness level or connective or clair feeling or clairaudient level can have success working with spirit animals, in my opinion. Now, a great place to start with this is understanding who your totem animals are. As we were talking about, these will be the animals that have signed up for the long haul to guide you. These will be animals that are very much a part of who you are or who your life path and primary lessons are, and they will represent themselves many times. Their qualities will make a lot of sense to how your personality is in this life. You can have more than one. Some people have usually between 2 and 7 to 9, depending on how many types of missions and life lessons and connections you've signed up for. I tend to have more because I work with a lot of different types of people. If you have a lot of different types of talents and variety of outreach and skills, you may have more, but it really just depends on you and the animals that you have signed up in agreement with for them to be your totem animal. Now, the difference, as I was saying, between totem animals and guides is that totem animals will be around for at least the majority of your life, if not all your life. They will be resonant to you in a similar way to how your sun, moon, or rising sign are resonant to you if you resonate with astrology. Animal guides, however, may be really resonant like that for specific periods of time. You can have innumerable amount of spirit animal guides that can step forward for you based on certain lessons, experiences, or karmas that you are experiencing on your current life path. In other words, you may have an animal guide that signs up to guide you through a particular relationship. And once the karma of that relationship is completed, you may not have cause to continue forward on your path with that animal guide in the way that you have. So they may step back or leave your life altogether until such time as a similar circumstance, lesson, or person occurs in your life again. You may be going through something in terms of a financial lesson, and you may have a guide for that specific financial circumstance. Or you may have a guide that signs up to get you through a certain level of schooling or a certain consciousness level or awakening level, and you may be really resonant with them for a certain period of time. And then once you've sort of passed all your tests or checked all your lessons or to-do list things off of your list, they may step back and the next guide may step in their place for your next set of lessons. It is entirely possible for you to work with more than one guide at a time. As I said, most of us do work with teams, and they do tend to take turns. Now, spirit animals and totem animals are both forms of consciousness that step forward with the qualities of that particular type of animal, and they tend to also carry lessons of their own that match with lessons that we may need to learn for our lifetime or for that particular time in our life or that particular situation in our life, like we were just discussing with spirit animal guides. As someone who has done spirit animal readings and spirit animal medicine mini readings for people all around the world, I can also tell you that spirit animals excel in answering questions and representing us in situations and relationships that we wouldn't normally associate with animals being able to help with. So I have clients that even do mini readings with me where I never have contact or communication or awareness of them beyond them asking a question like, what is going on with this area of my life? Or how can I better address this area of my life? And for something like an area of work, a certain relationship, a certain struggle that they've had reoccur in their life, something with their gift advancement, anything really, they can present a question and a spirit animal guide or totem animal will show up with an answer that I hear time and time again is so relevant and resonant for them in the channeling that the spirit animal or totem animal will have me give them. This is because animals are so adaptable, are so in tune with nature and with survival and with flourishing in life in general, that they, especially their exalted higher consciousness form, can see ways through situations that we don't necessarily see ways through, in addition to being able to guide us and imbue us through their qualities, which will help us feel more equipped to understand and implement those answers, or to address or face situations in our lives. So if you're interested in spirit animal readings and mini readings with me, as well as ways to shamanically journey with your spirit animals and other types of sessions and healings that I offer, you can check the links in the description or visit my website, damseldesigns.com, anytime. But we're also going to be talking about that more towards the end of session. And now I wanted to talk about more of the ways that these qualities have translated so much over time, and the ways that you can understand your own spirit animal communications and connections. Now that we're at a point where so many people are connecting with the spirit animal kingdom and channeling messages, there is also a phenomenon where not only do spirit animals tend to carry qualities, but the stories and mythologies that they've passed on through our ancestors for millennia now take on an additional quality of containing channeled messages. So you may be connecting with a certain spirit animal guide, and you may have access to a book that has a channeled message about that particular animal, or a card deck that has messages from the animals, as well as almost everyone's go-to resource of the internet in looking up the qualities and channeled messages of that animal. When you are doing this because you believe that you are getting a message from a certain spirit animal, which we'll talk more about how that tends to present in just a moment, I would advise that when you are looking up information about the qualities and connections and channeled messages of your animals, you first take a break and try to just picture that animal. Either pull up a picture of that animal first, and or see them in your mind's eye, and see what information you can get within, let's say, a 5-minute period. Just connecting on your own and doing some stream of consciousness writing in terms of whatever could come up for you in a free writing journal type experience of, what are you trying to show me, spirit animal? What are you showing me now? What are you trying to teach me? What are you helping with? Asking simple questions like this, what, whys, hows, and just seeing what comes through to you. Now, you may get pictures in your mind. Certain situations may come to mind, messages or songs or numbers of other kinds, symbols even. Write it all down, see if you can make sense of any of it, and then go and look up your animal, if you are called to do so, of course, and see in the looking up process, ask them to be with you and say, guide me to the information that's relevant for me. Because remember, whenever you are looking anything up, whether it's a well-trusted resource like a book or an oracle card deck or the internet in general, or even any of my workings and sharings, that information has been presented for a wide audience. So although sometimes you may look it up and find the exact answer for you right away, it's important to remember whenever you are looking anything up in a generalized form to ask for guidance and help in picking and choosing the parts of those things that you are looking up that are relevant and actual messages specifically for you and your circumstance. And do this by simply seeing what you are attracted to from that information and adding it to your notes or to your mental notes, and seeing if any of it helps make sense of what you've channeled on your own, or if it adds to what you've channeled and helps you to feel resonant with the situations that are going on right now in your life. As someone who channels spirit animals animal medicine for many people around the world. I know that this information can be so relevant and helpful, but I did want to preface that and put that information there for those of you who are looking up information on your own or who may be newer to this process of connecting in with getting your own answers, which is something that everyone can do. Although I am very pleased to help you with that and get a clearer message and perspective at the times when you come to me. There are so many times where spirit animals are going to come through to you and you're going to feel drawn and called and compelled to look it up on your own. So next time you feel that way, try this practice and see if the answers that you get are clearer to you and help you feel more connected with your guidance. Because when you get those hits on your own of information and you're looking something up and they're guiding you to the right information and it's making sense of your dreams or of your life circumstance and it's really hitting and resonating with what you need to hear at that time, there is almost no better feeling in the world than that, to know how loved and connected and respected you are on every level of life, that the universe has sent you this beautiful guide to speak to you. And the ways in which they can do that, probably before you're looking up information on them, are ways like coming to you in a dream. Many people dream of animals and that animal just stands out to us. That could be a spirit animal, guide, or totem animal coming through to you. They can also come through with just a reoccurring appearance, especially now that we all have access to so many screens all the time and so many animal videos and so many logos that have animals in them. We can be on our phones or on our devices or out and about in the world and even just see reoccurring pictures or images of a certain animal. That's usually that animal's way of trying to get your attention and saying, hey, I'm here, I'm trying to work with you, I'm trying to guide you, or I'm showing up as an answer to your prayers or as an answer to your questions, in which case you may want to go through that practice of looking up what they mean. This can also happen in things like seeing reoccurring emojis of a certain animal or feeling really called to a certain animal at a certain time. Even if that animal just shows up once, whether it's in a movie, in a video, or out in physical life and physical reality, if something about the way they show up really catches your eye, piques your interest, feels different, if time feels like it tends to slow down, or if you actually meet the eye line of an animal and have a moment with them, that could be a way of spirit animals or totem animals getting through to you. Also bear in mind, because of the world that we currently live in with AI and algorithms trying to get to know us and trying to please us in certain circumstances, if you are seeing a reoccurring role of an animal in things like your social media feed or in a digitized way, use your discernment to see if that animal is actually trying to get a message to you, and use the same premise that we were speaking about if you have a physical encounter with an animal and it just feels different. It feels like more than a bird passing you while you're on the street. It feels like that bird stopped and actually looked at you and had a second where its world stopped and your world stopped for a moment for you to exchange energy. Now, that can be pretty easy to spot nowadays in our physical life, but in terms of things like digital signs that our animals send us, sometimes it can be a little cloudy if we are seeing reoccurring signs from an animal trying to get through to us, because we need to first stop and use discernment to say, is this an animal sending me a sign? Is there some kind of unusual or attention-grabbing feeling about this and trying to get through? Or is this the algorithm kind of playing with my likes and dislikes and trying to please me because they've seen that I've liked other videos or things with this animal in it? Now, if you have relationship with spirit animals or totem animals already, it's also not unusual, if you know who those animals are, for them to try to send you signs that are as close as possible to them if they're not an easily accessible animal in your area or in their way of getting a message to you. because of us all having access to devices and screens, there really is no exotic animal that is too exotic to reach us as a symbol digitally. But in terms of being out and about in the physical world, it's not unheard of or unusual for us to have, let's say, a raptor type bird spirit animal guide, but see a different bird present itself to us in physical reality that just reminds us of our other animal guide. That is something that they sometimes do because it's the closest access they currently have to your physical reality. So use your discernment in that to know whether it's that particular smaller type of animal or more convenient to your physical location type of animal that is actually trying to get you a message at that time, or whether they may be linked to another guide and getting as close as possible if you in fact know what that other animal type guide is. If you are a researcher in terms of your signs and symbols, you may be familiar with kind of going down the rabbit hole in terms of research. If you have a limited mental data bank in terms of imagery for spirit to use, and you are trying to work up the practice of getting signs and symbols without having to see them digitally or physically, and trying to see that sign and symbol in things like meditation or dreams, and you get an animal or what you believe to be an animal, it's also not unusual when you go to look that up to see a link in your research to something else that will actually make more sense. Sometimes it's the same kind of thing. Your guides are getting as close as possible to the information that you currently have in your own mental data bank, and then knowing that they will be with you during that time of research to actually guide you to the right animal or the right animal message at that time. So now that you know the ways that they tend to show up, tend to try to speak with you, let's get into why would you want to speak with them? Why would you want to get messages to them or from them? And how is this relevant to your healing, or to what I like to call spirit animal medicine, or to your guidance or situations in life? Well, working with spirit animals and or your totem animals, who are your ride or dies, will help you to embody more of the qualities that they excel at in the animal kingdom, in the physical world, or even in the metaphysical world. In terms of the stories and mythologies that our ancestors have told for millennia, many animals carry physical qualities as well as metaphysical qualities. So, for example, turtle's spirit animal has its physical qualities, but its metaphysical qualities would be things like a different way of connecting with time, or a way of connecting with the divine feminine energy. And there are so many examples of this, which is why it can be helpful to look up the meanings of your spirit animal guides in order for it to act as more resonant type of medicine for you, in you understanding those particular qualities and lessons that the animal steps forward in trying to help you with. It's also not unusual to connect with guides that don't seem to make sense until you look up what they actually represent. So I've gotten everything for clients from insects to water animals to mythological creatures like the phoenix. It really just depends on whatever that particular soul or your soul needs most at that time in terms of qualities, support, or lessons. So these can be things like, if someone got a phoenix, let's say, that could symbolize a period of rebirth or resurrection that really steps forward in that person's life right now that they want support and empowerment in. Or for a totem animal, for them understanding their totem animal and seeing all the beautiful and strong qualities of their totem animal, in seeing and appreciating that, and then in knowing that that animal has chosen to be with them for their entire lifespan, a person can look at more of those qualities within themselves and appreciate those qualities within themselves as well. There can be so many facets of healing, and one of my favorite things to do with people is to give these messages and to see how these animals have been showing up in people's lives even before they realized it. I hear from clients all the time that the animal that comes up for them in response to a query or a certain term or portion of their life or their totem animal makes so much sense because they've had messages from them already without connecting the dots and realizing it. They may have had dreams about it. They may have saved that particular type of animal on the side of the road. They may have seen them recently and the encounter just struck them funny. Or even people that drew these type of animals as children or all their lives, or collected little trinkets and have them decorated all around their house, but somehow never connected that they were a totem animal or a spirit animal for them. And I also really love, in terms of being a shamanic healer and practitioner, being able to take people on shamanic journeys with their animal and help those of you learn how to connect in with your animal's type of healing. We all have the ability to receive healing from our animal guides, whether that is asking for and allowing them to imbue us with those qualities that they excel in that we may really need at this point in our life, or whether it is help through a situation in asking them to walk with us or guide us down the path so that we more know what to do with their type of perspective or awareness or power in mind. I love to guide people through a meditative process where you can connect with your spirit animal guides in a sacred shamanic space, and you can really feel them, and you can step into them, step into their qualities, perhaps go on a journey or a path working with them to see an answer to a long-held question, or to even learn the process of stepping into their state of consciousness to get you through a certain experience in your life, or to have extra power or amplitude for something that you wish to do. In other words, you may wish to have the perspective or that higher awareness of a hawk or of an eagle, or you may wish to have the strength or the pride of a lion. Whatever it is, a quality that you are wishing to cultivate more within yourself, animal medicine can help you to accomplish in a way that still feels very grounded and very unobtrusive to any other faiths or spiritual practices that you may hold dear. I've worked this with people of all different faiths in all different areas of the world, and I've never really found it to be in conflict with any of their other beliefs or forms of spirituality. Of course, there are certain very religious and dogmatic aspects which prohibit any type of spiritual or meditative work, but people of all faiths who don't hold that strictness upon themselves, I have found really benefit from this type of work. And as someone who loves to get geeky about things like quantum physics, I love to relate how stepping into our spirit animal guide for a certain period of time, with their permission, of course, and then releasing it when it is time, can also relate to something in quantum physics called the virtual state, where we see quantum particles do this and step in and out of certain types of virtual states. And I love that our spirituality and our science can kind of work hand in hand in this aspect, and in a meditative technique that really anyone can do once you learn the power and the process and put a little bit of faith and belief in that, and really step into that loving feeling of feeling your animal guides around you. There is so much medicine and nurturing and empowerment and perspective and enlightenment around this planet. and in ways that only this planet has, with the menagerie of types of life and types of consciousness. And when we are on that raise our consciousness journey and we find all aspects of consciousness to be one on some level and really exciting to explore, I really love to incorporate this back to nature quality that still raises our consciousness and connects us with so many forms of higher ways of being. So if you've been finding that spirit animals have been coming through to you based on any of the signs or various ways that we've discussed, or if you're just really called to spirit animal medicine or spirit animal work, I encourage you to scratch that itch and dive a little deeper. And I hope today's session has inspired you in all the ways that it can add to your spiritual practice or your consciousness expansion that can be relevant and specific to you, and still nurturing and enhancing of your life as well as your spiritual gifts and spiritual experience. There is really nothing like that feeling of remembering that you are loved, that you are guided, that you are supported. And while some of us get lucky enough to experience that with loved ones in spirit or angelic beings or higher power, I have found that for those people who that feels difficult, they can start with or yet always feel this love and support of a spirit animal guide, even if that support just strikes them as intrigue, that someone sent them a piece of information that feels relevant for them, or that a particular animal caught their eye and isn't it curious that that animal tends to represent a message that they very much need at that moment? People don't have to be strict or hardcore believers in order to benefit from spirit animal work and spirit animal medicine. Really, everyone I have found has a little bit of interest once they look into it. The same way almost everyone can look into astrology and even if they don't believe in it, say, isn't that interesting? Spirit animals tend to have that type of quality. It's very unassuming, it's not very intimidating, it's easily approachable, and it helps us feel connected to both our spirit and to our earth, which are both very important things, in my opinion, as we are navigating life in general. And this is something that almost every faith, every religion, every group of ancestors has connected with in some form, even though there are people that tend to say that this is cultural appropriation looking into spirit animals. You would be really hard pressed, in my opinion, I say this also as a history buff and a past lives and Akashic Records reader, to find a culture on this planet that hasn't connected with or used animal or animal qualities in some form. We've been doing this since we were cavemen, drawing animals on our walls. We've been doing this since we dressed in animal skins and liked certain ones more than others because we wanted to appear strong like a tiger or strong like a bear. Every group on this planet has connected with animals, associated them with qualities or mythologies. Most religions have deified certain aspects of animals, or at least used them as representatives of their form of deity. Even Judeo-Christian religions have done this. We see this in the form of, in Christianity, we've used the dove, which used to represent the sacred Sophia, and now represents the Holy Spirit of Christianity, sometimes represents Holy Mother Mary, really just depends. We have this in Judaism as well, where Moses blew the shofar or the ram's horn to usher in the age of Aries. We have this, of course, in ancient Egypt, where almost every Egyptian god and goddess had another form as their animal-headed representative. In Hinduism, we have Lord Shiva, who often wears the tiger skin, or we have Goddess Durga or Parvati or Kali, who rides upon the lion or the tiger. We have Shiva presenting in another avatar as Lord Hanuman, the monkey god. We have so many religions which don't remember or publicize the fact that they are still connecting with animal medicine in some form. So if you feel like your religion has a difficulty with it, or like you would be culturally appropriating, look into what your religion or what your nationality or ancestors used animals to symbolize, because we still have this in terms of state and country emblems or flags, right? We have the symbol of the UK, which uses the lion and the unicorn symbolizing Scotland. So family crests, country emblems, we all utilize animals to represent qualities. So why not take it that step further in terms of adding this medicinal or healing or higher consciousness aspect to it in your life, and actually developing a communicative relationship that gets to feel loving and supportive and nurturing for you. So if you are interested in doing that, at this time, I still offer spirit animal medicine mini readings available on my website anytime for fast answers and support. Those are done through email delivery, and you will find that on my website, Damsel Designs. That's DAMCLdesigns.com. But my favorite way for you guys to work with me in spirit animal medicine are the spirit animal medicine shamanic journey working sessions, which are live sessions that I conduct via Zoom, where we do a reading to answer your questions and connect you with your guides and see the ways that they are showing up for you and the certain symbols that they want to use to continue reaching out to and connecting with you. And then they and I take you through a guided meditative process and create a sacred shamanic space for you to connect with them and step into that virtual state, like we were talking about, in receiving their counsel and receiving any healing that they wish to impart to you on that time. I'm very proud that they have helped me format a way in which we can do this, where you can journey back to that space with them anytime, even after our session, because you're going to learn how to connect in that way. And also because all of my sessions are recorded as well, even the live ones, you will be able to access your recording again and go back and play that guide in meditation experience to connect in with their energy again anytime you need it. So those types of sessions are available on my website, Damsel Designs. That's DAMCLdesigns.com. There are also quantum reading sessions where we connect you with your loved ones in spirit, as well as help you understand things from your own quantum field and higher self, and spirit guides of other kinds. And I also offer Akashic records and past life readings, as well as other types of spiritual sessions that you will find available on my website anytime. There is an additional link on my website if you would like to go even further than this and advance into quantum Sikhem or shamanic energy healing with me. This would include things like journey work and Akashic records readings and past life readings, but also quantum energy healing, Sikhem energy healing, which is a form of Egyptian energy medicine that predates Reiki, and shamanic tools, things like our journey working, but also shamanic soul retrieval, inner child healing, life and consciousness coaching, expansion, and gift advancement, as well as so much more. My one-on-one clients really benefit from that type of transformational experience. So if that level is calling to you, you can use that application form available linked in the description or on my website, damseldesigns.com, anytime to send me a message, and we will set up a time to talk about building you a customized container for your soul and your soul's healing or advancement at this time. Now, because we are using the terms healing and medicine, I do have to say spiritual healing is never to be used to diagnose or as a treatment substitute for anything that you may need in terms of medical or mental health care or treatment. I am not a licensed medical professional. although I do love working with those of you who are working with licensed therapists or medical professionals and use spiritual healing and work as it is intended to support your spirit and your consciousness, so that any work that you are doing with your licensed medical care professionals gets to work better, so that you have more clarity, awareness, and acceptance in that process. However, traditional medicine has its importance and its place, and I don't like to see people use spiritual work to crowd out the need for any additional medical work. You are a body as well as a soul, and I would love to see you without shame seek any additional medical or mental health care support that you may need from licensed professionals, and then add to it with spiritual work, either with me or with your own guidance and guide teams. Remember that when you do both and come at things from both angles, you can have a holistic empowerment and point of view, so that you can really truly heal things on physical and spiritual levels and move forward, rather than carry anything as a chronic issue or pattern in this, or if you believe it like I do, other lives. So thank you so much to those of you who have been clients or who are clients who are also supporting your medical needs. And for the rest of you, I hope that encourages you and inspires you to seek both types of treatment if you need it, and always do what's best for your body as well as your soul. And luckily, we have many more holistic and medical professionals who believe in spiritual things as well, and will support you in having a holistic journey where you are seeking for both types of needs. With that being said, I am going to close today's session, beautiful soul, and send you off perhaps into your day or into your journaling or into meditation, so that you can see what spirit animals want to connect with you at this time, or so that you can better connect with and understand the totem animals that have been with you all along. As a final piece of information for this session, I do want to say that one of the best things about working with spirit animals is that they can and will continue to show up for you. Even after I do a session for someone, even if it's a mini reading, that animal can and will and does continue to show up for them. Now that you know who they are, or now that you're invested in the process of understanding who the guides are that are coming to support you, you can play this process with them, where when a spirit animal does decide to give you a message and to show up in your life, you will have and develop this practice of working to understand and see what they mean, or developing a relationship with them further once they've shown up as a trustworthy guide and source for you, whether that's through a reading with me or through following your own signs and symbols. You can continue to converse with them, to ask them for support and help, to understand that they are the one that shows up for you when you need help with X, Y, Z, certain situation, certain relationship or person, or development of a quality within you or your life. And you can look forward to the ways that they will continue to answer that call. Of course, they want to work with you cooperatively, not codependently. So like any spiritual work, I advise you to see them as a partner rather than as a savior, as a mentor, as a guide, rather than as someone or something that has answers that you do not. They want to see you sparkle. They want to see you shine. They want to see you empowered and utilizing those qualities which they are an inspiration and example to you for, but which have to be lying dormant within you somewhere all along in order to resonate with them and receive their message in the first place. So always remember that in terms of what guidance is coming through. It is never to save you. You are here to be and learn to be a savior of yourself, a healer of yourself, even if and when others like myself step into that role of being a healing facilitator facilitator for you, you are the one healing. You're the brave one. You're the strong one. Myself or your animal guides or your angels or spirit guides or loved ones or ancestors or higher power, whoever it is stepping in that intermediary space and holding and creating and crafting space with you to help you with perspective and help you with the channeling of that energy and the understanding and integrating and receiving of that energy. But it's nothing that is innately foreign to you. You are powerful beyond measure and in your own right. And I am so grateful that you have been here today to understand this spirit animal medicine and this spirit animal work. And I look forward to the ways that you're going to use that in your own life, in your own journey, in your own inspiration of others going forward. As we said, if you would like to do that with additional support or perspective from me and my guides and my gifts, you know where to find me anytime on my website at Damsel Designs. That's DAMCLdesigns.com. That is linked in the bio or description wherever you are listening to this as well. And I am going to close today's session here today so that you can enjoy that process of integrating this information. I encourage you, if you have time right now, go and do some journaling and see what wants to come through to you. If you are interested in the process of cultivating more spirit animal awareness, you can do so by joining in to an energy healing package or program with myself, but you can also do so by getting yourself a spirit animal card deck or a spirit animal book and learning those messages and cultivating a practice of asking questions that way until you get more comfortable asking questions and allowing the answers to come through naturally. If you are going to use something like a deck, I encourage you to use that practice that we tested out in the beginning and get used to getting your own information before you go to the guidebook or before you go to flip over that card and see its meaning. Because even if it's an animal that you think you've learned the meaning of, or that you are believing and trusting in the meaning of for that guide deck or for that guidebook, every animal has the power to present unique information to that circumstance, to that particular facet of time for you or for another soul. And that information will only be accessible through your own intuition or through the intuition of another like myself that you are going to see if and how and when they present that information anew to you. Things like the qualities tend to remain the same, but they will be unique to how they are usable to you or to those you are reading for, based on that current query. So keep that in mind so that you can grow and expand your intuition. Although it's wonderful to learn the qualities and habits of certain animals, they will come through uniquely each and every time. And this is something that I have seen time and time again. So I'm excited for you to see that as well. And if you feel comfortable, come back and leave a comment of how your animal guides are coming through. I know that I and others would love to hear it in a comment or review, depending on which platform you are listening to Chat and Channel Session on. If you have found this session helpful, remember to like it and to share it with others that you believe will find it helpful as well. I thank those of you who are already followers or subscribers here at Chat and Channel Session. And if you are not a follower or subscriber already, please feel free to do so. I have the biggest backlog of Chat and Channel Sessions currently available on my YouTube channel at D's Enlightened Edits through the playlist, but all recent and newer Chat and Channel Sessions are also uploading through various listening platforms as well, notably Spotify, where there is an additional paid low-cost monthly subscriber option to receive additional content, also freely on Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, Google, and other listening platforms. So listen wherever you feel most comfortably and share, please, to get this information out there more. If you would like to support Chat and Channel Session additionally, and you are called and able to do so, all amounts appreciated donations are always accepted through www.paypal.me/DSEnlightenedEdits. Those are not necessary, but they are helpful to continue to upload to so many platforms and get this information out there more. So thank you so much to those of you who support in that way. If you would like to support by becoming a sponsor of Chat and Channel Session, feel free to reach out to me through the links in the description or on my website. And remember, you can also follow me on Instagram at DSEnlightenedEdits for inspiration on the daily. With that, I really will close today's session here, beautiful soul. Enjoy your animals, your animal angels, and their guidance. I hope to see you next time. Be blessed with love, light, and light codes. Love, Danielle. #damsel at DSEnlightenedEdits of damseldesigns.com.